All
ahead.
right.
Of course.
Yeah.
Uh, no problem. Troy, I am so excited to have you. This is Troy with Knockout Pools. So we are going to learn basically everything pools today, and kind of get a little bit of history. You're owner operator, and you kind of just do everything from A to Z. So I'd love to just
Yeah.
give you a minute to kind of talk about how it all began, and go from there.
Cool. Yeah. So I didn't plan on being in the pool industry. That wasn't my um, original plan from the time I was a little kid. I mean, probably 6, 7 years old. I wanted to be a veterinarian, and all the way up until I was 18. My year, I took vet practicum. I was on like the career path to be a vet at our school. Um, I would graduate a certified veterinary assistant. That was the plan. Well, my senior year, I started kind of so in between my junior and senior year, I worked for a pool builder that built my dad's pool and a couple other pools in our family. And one of the summers I was working for him, we were at a customer's house, and he had met this guy out there that like had a pole and a hat, and like he was there to clean the pool, right? He was a pool guy, and I asked him. He's like, "Oh, that's the guy. That's my pool guy." I was like, "Well, you're like the pool guy. Who is it?" He like there's like actually pool guys out there, and this is me. Like I'm like 17. Like I'm
Yeah.
pretty dumb at this point. Like I didn't know every profession, obviously. But he's like, yeah, it's a pretty, profitable thing. Like he makes just as much money as I do. And I was like, I mean, like how, And then he explained to me like, well, he charges about $160 a month, and customers that they service every month. I'm like sitting there doing the math. I'm like, oh my gosh, he's making, I I told my dad about it. I was always trying to like figure out little ways to make money, side
Right.
hustles or whatever when I was in high school because my dad made me pay for all my stuff. So I was always trying to make money. Well, um, at the time, uh, but my
Love that.
girlfriend had a pool and their pool was always green. So I talked to her mom. I was like, hey, like I could do a better job. And I was charging them like, I think I was going out there like twice a week instead of just once because they had this huge tree over the pool. And she's
Yeah.
like, oh no, that'd be great. Like the pool gets dirty like sometimes the day after the guy leaves, the guy that they had currently. And so I was like 200 a month, but I was already at like their house.
Right.
um, I did that and I went to my dad. I was like, dude, I only need like 10 of these. And I'm like, I'm good.
Yeah.
So he helped me do some mail outs to this one specific neighborhood. And I got, by the end of my senior year, I was maintaining like 13 houses or something between like the neighborhood and like some friends and family. And it was good. It was good money. I was doing stuff for my dad too at the house, and we actually had a boxing gym that me and him both ran. Um, and I coached there, so he paid me to coach because he couldn't be there. Um, and that was good. Um, be a vet and go work at one of these like basically like franchise places. I didn't know what I wanted to do, so um, I decided I wanted to be a petroleum engineer. That's what my wife wanted to do. So we were going to transfer. She was a grade behind me, so we were going to wait till she graduated. Then we were going to go to Blinn and then transfer to A&M and get like our basics at Blinn and then get, our degrees from A&M.
Yeah.
That was our plan. Well, I was waiting around for a year for her to graduate, so I just started kind of cleaning pools and was still running the gym. And my dad was like, dude, I think while you're waiting, like for her to graduate, you should really give the pool company like
Yeah.
he had ever gave me for sure. I by the time Karina had September, I had like over 100 accounts. It was crazy. I went from like basically no money, like 1,800 a month to 15,000. Like
And at this point, you're what, like 19,
it, like
and servicing pools. Yeah.
repairs as well. The weekly maintenance, and I was learning the repairs. I was learning stuff every
Yeah.
day. There's always something different.
Right.
And I did that, gosh, for I think 4 years. I grew like 50, and I halted, like I stopped all my referrals.
Mm-hmm.
I had a builder and I had a pool store that were handing out my information. And I pulled my cards from them because I was trying to kind of like stay where I was at. So I did that, and
Yeah.
I just really couldn't handle it anymore. So it was just a lot of I was handling all the books, I was handling all the sales, I was still handling all the repairs, any problems that came up, I was still handling that stuff. Hey, what you doing, dude?
Hey, bud.
Steal.
Future tour guy.
Are you not doing school?
No, I'm done.
Oh, you're all done? Okay. All right, go play. But anyway, so we homeschool, by the way. So we just started this year.
How exciting.
But yeah, it's been I sold my accounts, not the name, but just the accounts back in like 19, and started flipping houses. I still had a small route that I kept.
Yeah.
Because I just got tired of dealing with all the customers and just it really wasn't the customers, it was too much of a workload, and I was too OCD about like handing something off to someone else to handle because no one could really handle it. Like my wife would always ask, like, hey, do you need me to like, go over the books? Like, what do you need me to do? Because she was seeing that I was stressed all. I was like, babe, it's not really anything you can do. Like, I know like all the situations are like in my brain, and like I know how.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, that's how that ended, and then I grew it up again to like almost 100 accounts by myself unintentionally, and no one was handing out my info. It was just like customers telling other customers.
Yeah.
I to this day still am not even on Google because everything I've done has just been word of mouth. And trying to figure out exactly when I decided to start building. So I had started doing remodeling, like plaster, tile, coping, stone repair. I did stuff like that already, but I hadn't done like full on new construction yet.
Yeah.
Until like towards the end of COVID, like the pandemic, the pool building was up like 300% in
Yeah.
this area. And
Everyone was home,
there was
they needed something to
yeah,
do.
everybody was home, and also everybody that thought they knew how to build a pool was building a pool. And a
Yeah.
lot of these guys were coming out and they were quoting some of these pools like almost half of what they were actually going to take to build.
Yeah.
So he's wanting me to engage. So anyway, I finished up like 4 pools, like 2 years ago, something like that. I finished up 4 of them, and I was like, "Dude, I'm gonna have to get into this. Like, these guys are idiots out
Right.
here." So, I mean, replumbed, a couple of them already had some plumbing, and it was all done wrong. We had to rip it out. Was like right at 2 years ago where I made the sale, I did the design, like, from start to finish, it was all me. And I do tons of remodels. Most of the work that I do, well, I don't know if it's, yeah, I would say that maybe not this year. This year, I've done more sales in new construction than remodels, but
Yeah.
like job by job, I've done more remodel jobs, but they're not as expensive as as a pool,
Yeah.
as a whole pool. But yeah, there's a couple of builders out that I just wasn't a fan of how they did stuff, and their customers weren't either. But
Yeah.
so that's the thing that is tricky with them. When they come out and say, "Hey, yeah, you have all these problems," it's like, "Oh, well, we didn't know." Like, well, yeah, you didn't know. You got sold, you know.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to go into bids because there's really not a lot of builders that are doing everything right,
Yeah.
and you can only like toot your own horn so much. You can't just sit there and brag about your, and that doesn't look good either. You just have to kind of let either referrals or stuff online tell them. So that's all you can really do.
I mean, I really like that though.
But
I mean, so many people in business, kind of that big main advice is always like find the problem and create the solution. And when
right,
you think about pools, because I mean, pool building, pool repairs, pool cleaning, it's just an established niche in the industry that's always been around. And
hmm
being in it, you were able to see like this massive problem, which has transitioned your company into kind of what you do today. And you've already created that knowledge, created that experience, been in the industry.
right,
And I mean, that's really how business should be. It's organic. And as you grow and
right.
develop and move
Super
into
organic.
it, yeah, exactly. You basically you listened to the industry, you listened to your clients, and because of that, I mean, you just keep rolling into these other opportunities and, helping everybody along the
Yeah,
way. And that's awesome. I'm glad you touched on kind of the problems of the developers and builders that have been doing pools, because that is, there's quite a few questions that people ask when it comes to putting a pool in. So, like you said, it's hard to know you're getting scammed until, well, shoot, you turn the pool on and all the problems start shooting out. Is there like
yeah.
3 red flags or something like that when people are like calling pool companies or getting quotes? Like, is there anything kind of across the board you've noticed or heard?
I mean, big red flags are, I mean, obviously, somebody that doesn't even have like a contract, but I mean, the builders that really got me into building were the
Mhm.
big ones. Like there is really no red flags that they give off in the beginning. I mean,
Yeah,
they have some bad reviews, but a lot of this stuff, like a homeowner's not going to know that it's wrong because it may work like somewhat, the way they
right?
have their plumbing set up. A lot of what these companies were doing was all like hydraulic.
Yeah.
you can make some of those pools work that don't have good flow in them. The pool I just finished, we actually tomorrow I'll be like completely done with it. Um, I mean, we're able to run his system at like half of the capacity or the half the potential that it could run at. And I mean, it's literally going to cost him like $7 a month to run this thing. Like he's not going to have, and that's some of people's biggest like turnoffs
Yeah.
to building a pool is they don't want to add $150 a month to their electric bill, or gas or whatever. But it's like the way that you can set up a pool with the correct plumbing sizes, the correct pump sizes, bypasses. There's things you can do to it to make it just effortless, and it really doesn't cost you anything to run almost at all. I mean, you're not going to notice $7 on your electric bill unless you're
Right.
a single person in the house. Like anybody with kids, there's no way your bill's going to fluctuate.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, a single person living in a home, yeah, their bill might be within $10 every month, but most people's is not like isn't going to be like that. But you'll notice 100. Like if you're at 100,
Yeah.
obviously the pool just you took a huge hit because of the pool. But
I'm gonna
and yeah,
transition a little bit to real estate. So you flipped houses a little bit, and I'm gonna bring it up because I believe your father is in real
I
estate,
did.
and
Yeah, he is.
and you had stated on the fact exactly that. People sometimes are hesitant about pools because of the maintenance and the cost. And I know in the real estate industry,
Hmm.
especially in the warmer climate, obviously I'm not talking about people up north, down in Texas, it's more desirable to have a house with a pool, whether you can list that house for more or it just gets sold before the neighbor's house, because if you have a pool, you're going to get sold
Right.
before the neighbor guy. And on the commercial side, if there's an HOA or a new subdivision coming in, a family's going to want to move into a neighborhood that has a pool outside of one that doesn't. And someone's going to want to move
Right.
into an apartment that has a pool and that doesn't.
Oh
And
yeah.
so I love that you pointed on this, because if you get the right pool guy, if you get someone who knows what they're doing,
Yeah.
then, because investors, landlords, buyers, they're always hesitant because they don't want that liability and that cost. But on the other end, it's more desirable, more appealing,
Yeah.
and you can charge more. So there is an answer to that, right? Like,
Yeah. Disclosure, you're providing electric bills, whatever it takes to run that house. You're
yeah.
providing that to them, and if they look at me like, "Oh wow, it's a lot less than I thought," like it helps with the sale if it's done
What
right.
what would you say to someone? Because I know you have done some repairs on some sketchy pools, and I've worked with investors in the past that they just say, if there's a pool, fill it in. Like, don't even deal with it. Um,
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Could say, "Hey, look, like you got expect to spend $1,000 to $1,500 a year for the next 4 or 5 years on this equipment pack."
yeah.
So much stuff now. They've got pumps and filters, and it's very simple. Because the other ones,
Yeah.
just these massive heaters, and now the new ones are like half the size, and they're made out of like glass and plastic with, but where it was like 30% of the gas that got fed. To 10, 15 years. The new ones are about 10, 15 years too, or longer.
Which is fantastic, right? So, real estate investors out
hmm
there, it is not one answer. There are some cases
Yeah.
that it might make sense, but definitely look at location, look at house size, look at when it was built, because it could, for the price of fixing it, because we did a flip and we fixed the pool, and because we did, it also had a landscape in the backyard that if we would have covered it up, it just would have been a small yard. But instead, it created
Right.
this picturesque view from the kitchen, and we were able to sell it for more because we created this environment. We kept the environment
Yeah.
that was established. And so there's really so much more to it than just the fear of it might cost you some money. Because the back end of it could be so much worth if you just got a consult. Just pick
Yeah.
up the phone and get it looked at first.
Yeah, and you're gonna get, all kinds of opinions. There's gonna be some people that are gonna be like, "Ah, just replace everything." There's gonna be some guy that's gonna tell you, "Oh, well, you could do this, and you could get the house sold if you did this." I mean, there's just, it's so hard. The pool industry is tough because, I mean, I just did one this morning where a lady that we had as a customer for a long time, uh, she was one of the accounts that I had sold, but we've still kind of stayed in contact.
Mm-hmm.
Um, she reached out to one of the guys that used to work for me that was posting stuff on Facebook, and she's friends with him on Facebook. Um, and she she was like, "Hey, can you come look at my pool? Like, I got this new company. I've had 4 companies like since I've had y'all. It's been terrible."
Oh no.
Yeah, it was horrible for me to hear that from her because, like, I know there's a lot of other customers that I used to have that happened to them. But I mean, I got kind of scammed into the first sale that I did. The guy had a huge company, like massive company, but he just the way he handled everything, just
Yeah.
it was not he wasn't personable at all with any of them. And I knew that was going to be kind of the case, but the guy that he had handling all the accounts, his route manager is what he called it. That guy was dry, did not care, like not a customer service bone in his body. I mean, that was what happened.
Yeah.
But anyway, we went out there to go look at this lady's heater, and the guy that had told her what was wrong with it, he was right, but she just didn't trust him because, like, the way he went about the repair. At
Yeah.
first, it started off as a sensor, and then it was like, okay, well, no, the sensor's not bad. It's the whole manifold, which is like it went from $150 fix to 500, like just like that. And then when he went to go replace the manifold, he's like, actually, you need a whole new heater. So it's
Mm,
just like the way he went about it, she just didn't
yeah.
trust him anymore. She's like, I really want a second opinion. And just so happened she saw that post that my buddy had made, and she called him. And then my buddy has never worked on heaters, so he called me. He's like, "Hey, you remember Pam?" I was like, "Yeah, I remember her." And he's like, "All right, well, let's go out there." And me and him, I tore the whole heater apart again just to like get my own eyes on it.
Yeah.
And the guy wasn't lying to her. He just the way he went about it, it didn't sound good. So,
Right.
but anytime I'm going into a situation where the equipment is 10 years old or more, I tell them I'm like, hey, anything can happen back here. Like, there's no telling. So,
Which is
but
right. I mean, some companies out there, they just try to go in and get a job done really, really quick. I mean, you get the two of them. You get the one who wants to go in, find the problem, and move on, or the other ones that come in and they just try to get as much as they possibly can from that one job,
yeah,
and they just start creating things. So, right, but you
and
got
it
to get
all
in and look at it all.
right, and it all comes with experience too, and just how to talk to somebody. Um, It's just I've been the guy where I'm like, "Oh, yeah, it's a $150 part, no big deal." And then you go in to do it and you're like, "Oh, shoot, man, I shouldn't have said that."
Yeah.
Like, because it's happened to me before. It just comes with inexperience. Um, and now it's like when I go into a part, I'm just like, "Hey, I don't," or go into a repair, I'm like, I don't know. Like, it sounds like it could be this, but there's no telling what it actually is. And I always pay attention to that too, like when I'm dealing with other people, like if I'm dealing with like a mechanic or, something that like I'm not sure of. And I don't want them to tell me like, nah, you're good. You're going to be 100% after this. I don't trust that. When they say that, I'm like,
Yeah.
well, maybe. Like, you don't know. So
Yeah.
you could drop my car off the jack for all I know, and it'd completely ruin it, like, I don't know. So, I've had so many people that, I've seen talk like that, and I don't trust them. When they say that, I'm like, I'm out, you know? It's not gonna be all rosy and sweet because you don't know. So,
Well, I mean, and that's really good advice, right? The more transparent someone is with you, the more upfront, the more that they're unable to give a direct and straight answer or guarantee, most
right,
likely the more truth that they're providing. And when things come up, they're really going to bring you the full picture and
right.
not, be filling things in or covering their tracks or, not wanting to tell you
Yeah.
something. So,
Yeah, it's because like, they don't wanna tell you something and lie about it. They don't wanna be liable for
yeah.
being dishonest to you, so it's coming from a place of honesty, even though they're not telling you what they think is wrong. It's not that they're lying to you, they're trying not to lie to you. So, like, that's what I hear from it, and some people, like, they want an answer, they want a price, like, they wanna hold you to it. That's the customer you don't want, right?
Right.
So, like, they tell you, "Well, how much is it gonna be?" And you're like, "Oh, well, I mean, it could be this, could be that." They're like, "Oh, $2,500? Alright, let me write you a check for it before you can change your mind." Like, that's that guy, and I can't stand dealing with those people. But, like, I know when I'm dealing with one right off the bat, and I won't give them a number. I'm just like,
Yeah.
I can't tell you, man. And, they will fight with you tooth and nail, but you just have to continue to push back, and then eventually they'll stop. But I've dealt with it before with some of those guys, just people in general, and it's just like, "Oh my goodness, don't do this to me, man. Come on."
Right.
But they're my
Um,
least favorite.
talking about pools in general. So I'm curious on kind of your professional advice. A lot of people ask, well, obviously the main questions that people ask are how much, but obviously that's going to be based off of type of pool, size of pool, all those pieces that go into
Right,
it.
there's tons of variables.
Um, and then type of pool for space. So, I mean, I imagine you probably get similar size lots that you might do like where you get kind of like same styles, or do you kind of branch out and get really creative, or is there kind of a more go-to size and look of pool that you work with?
I'm sorry, I had a call come in and I missed the last part you said.
All right, that's the fun of being on the phone. Be on
Yeah,
the phone, but then all the calls and text
yeah.
messages.
It just
Um,
I swiped it up, but I missed the last part.
No, of course. Just kind of lumping in this general area, between. Uh-oh, did I lose you?
Well, I don't think so.
Oh, I lost your
I'm still
video.
here, but I don't know if it's frozen or what.
That's weird. Yeah, I lost your video. Um, what would be kind of your recommendation for just a single family home pool? Like, what's kind of the go-to? Maybe like efficiency, pump size. What's something that people can kind of get on board with and feel comfortable with?
Um, I mean, honestly, that's really hard to say. Um, everyone I feel like is around the like a buying a new like going with a new pool.
Hmm.
Um, you're looking at easily if you're going with pool and spa, it's really hard to be under 80,000 now. I mean, for like an average size, which is about 15,000 gallons.
15,000 gallons, just for everyone who's not in the pool industry. So what would that be like? Length, size, depth?
15,000 gallons would be about a like 16 by 32 size, 5, maybe 6 foot deep, from 3.5 foot down to 5.5 or 6 foot deep.
Gotcha.
I hate that I'm froze on my screen right now. I don't know how that happened.
I don't either. I know, and I can't push or see anything. I can
Did I
remove you.
pause or something?
I can remove you,
Hmm.
but I don't think that's very helpful. Save, highlight, remove, mute, share. There might be 3 little dots on your screen. I don't know if you can see them. It might be something you can
Yeah,
push.
it just says mute or share.
You have the same options I do.
I think so. Hmm. And I have the X, but that would end it.
Right? Well, we'll kind of wrap it up anyway. I do have so my sister just recently put in a pool and they went with salt water. What is
Yeah.
your thoughts on kind of just the new things that are coming out, like between old chemicals, new chemicals? Because it sounds like you figured out the solution, with your now wife's pool, like that guy wasn't getting it done and you went in and kept it clean and were able to build clients with that.
Right.
So,
Yeah, so salt water's great. To me, I mean, that's another thing. Like you're gonna have 10 different people tell you 10 different things, but most of the service guys like salt water because they are easier to maintain. They're less problematic if you know what you're doing. Um, but the chlorine pools, like you have a lot of things that can go wrong with the chemistry on them as well. So I don't personally know anybody that likes to service chlorine pools over salt water.
interesting.
I feel like customers, it's like half and half. Like some of the customers love their saltwater pool, and then some of them hate it because it's ruined like their furniture because it's saltwater. Hey, Steele, I'm on the phone, bud. Take it down a little bit. Um, he's like 10 foot from me. Sissy.
Right?
Um,
I love it.
Anyway, yeah, I love saltwater pool. My pool will be salt. I just have to know you know, there's some materials, some chairs that you can't put around it because somebody wet, they're gonna go sit on it and it's gonna rust it out. So you just have to know that you got to go with some kind of plastic composite or like a fiberglass. I mean, the best outdoor furniture is great for saltwater pools, but it is really expensive. It's crazy
Right?
expensive, but it lasts forever.
Um, okay, yeah, because I know a lot of people, we want to go cleaner, more organic, more energy efficient,
Hmm.
safer for children or,
That's
people
the
let their
main thing.
animals jump in the pool, like you kind of want to keep it like that. So it sounds like salt water is transitioning into kind of that new rave of being that, or are there other chemicals that are also
Um, I mean, there is some chemical-free systems that are out there right now, but the problem with them is like they kill algae, but they don't kill like the bacteria. So you may have like a blue pool, but there's still some stuff floating around in there that you can't see. But the saltwater pools, they've been around for a long time.
yeah.
They came out like I want to say 10, it was like 12 to 15 years ago. Hey guys, take that over there around. Hey, Steele, go.
The joys of
Um,
working from home and right.
yeah, they come like 10 feet from me, like wanting to build a sandcastle right here.
Right.
Um, but yeah, so they kind of came out, but at the time when saltwater pools came like a big thing. Everybody was doing flagstone and like waterfalls everywhere, and
Mm,
it just eats up the flagstone and the waterfall like moss rock.
Yeah.
So that's where all the builders were like, screw this stuff. Like, we're not installing those saltwater pools anymore because it just ruins the rest of the pool.
Yeah.
Well, now we're using like marble coping and travertine coping, glass tile. There's like a lot of materials that we're using that are, you know, really durable against salt water because chlorine is really corrosive as well. So,
Yeah. Exactly. Well, that's good to know. No, I appreciate that. Because we lost our feed, and I don't want to take up a ton more of your time, but I want to just add, I love how involved you are in your industry, and the longer you've been in it, the more you can really delve deeper into it and really learn all the ins and outs, and
yeah.
provide that for your clients. But on top of that, you've taken an extra step, and you said you created a tool for your industry, and I'm really excited to see how that progresses, and what comes of that, and
Yeah.
hopefully we'll share with that another
I'm
time.
super excited for the jet wrench is what it's called. I'm gonna be. I was actually at the guy that's doing all the machine work for me, and he's the one who drew it up and CAD and everything, and we're getting it all, figured out to send to this machine shop so they'll know exactly, the sizes and everything that we need. But I
Yeah.
was just over there with him for 2 hours right before we got on this call, and we were getting everything fine tooth comb. Just went over everything with a fine tooth comb, and now we're getting a couple more measurements, just a couple more questions we have for the machinist that's going to be doing them, and then we'll be moving forward on making our first batch and see how they work, and if they work great, then I'll go through all the steps I need to go through to get the patent and all that stuff. So I'm not a long way, but a lot of money away from it actually being being a real product that I could sell. So
Right. That
yeah,
is,
I'm excited for it.
yes, that's amazing though. I mean, going from being, having been on the plan of being a veterinarian to
Yeah,
finding this niche that you've really grown into, to years later, again, finding the problem, and not just finding it, but trying to create the solution for it. So I'm just so excited for you of where you're going, and what you're providing in this industry.
yeah, I appreciate that. I'm super excited too. I really hope that this. It's always been. I mean, ever since I was a little kid, I was always real like mechanically inclined. I've always tinkered and like loved to take stuff apart and build stuff. Um, so I've always wanted, like, it's kind of been on my bucket list to build or make a part that like I designed and patent and sell. I've always wanted to do that,
That's
but
awesome.
I never thought I'd be able to because like every time you have an idea, it's like somebody else probably thought of it, and sure enough, you'll see it like the same week because your phone's listening to everything you're saying, and you'll see it on online somewhere. You're like, yeah, someone already thought of it. I'm not that smart, but like a lot of people have thought of this part, but there's just no one's just went through and made it. I don't know. It baffles me. I've dug the internet. There isn't anything else out there. My suppliers don't carry anything like this. I'm just like, why has no one made this yet? But anyway,
That's the best. Yeah. What a blessing. Well, I'm super excited for you, and I am so glad we were able to delve in a little bit more, and learn more about your company. And again, it's like you might not be able to know initially when you're working with Cool Guys and stuff like that, but knowing that there are solutions out there, knowing that your system should be efficient, and it can be organic, and it should be a blessing to the backyard and the family, and not some nuisance, that's really helpful moving forward, because people need to know that you got to ask the right questions, and so you're getting the answers that you need and you want, and then probably help a lot of problems not happen by
yeah,
asking the right questions. So um yeah, I appreciate you for Troy, with knockout pools. And hopefully once you get that patent through, maybe we'll get on another call and you can kind of walk us through the tutorial of your new tool.
Yeah, that would be so cool.
Awesome.
It's gonna be real cool, real nerdy for me, but someone that doesn't have a pool and hasn't experienced the headache of trying to remove one of the jets in the wall of their pool is gonna understand. But
In your world, you'll be up on a pedestal and be
yeah,
like, you have no idea, and everyone else will be like, seriously, it's just another tool in the toolbox.
yeah, and anyone that's tried to like replace one of their jets, because every pool, 90% of the pools have like the same jets in them.
Yeah.
And if you've ever tried to remove one, you know that it's really difficult to take them out. Matter of fact, my chiropractor, I sent him a link to these little pool coolers that actually cool your water off when you plug them into the wall, but you have to remove the jet. And he couldn't get them out. Couldn't get them out of the wall. And I'm like, yep, well, there it is.
Right?
So, like, it happens to a lot of people, and there's millions of people with pools, and I mean, not all of them are going to go removing their jets, but there's just at the warehouse that I go to in the Woodlands, they have like 3,000 pool companies that are registered there that are just in this area.
Wow.
So every one of those companies need one of these, and there's plenty. I mean, there's hundreds of thousands of companies that need one. So there's definitely a big market for it, and we'll see what ends up happening with it. But
Right?
keep my fingers crossed, but try not to get my hopes up too much because it almost feels like as we're getting closer, it still feels like it's too good to be true. But we'll see.
Well, I'm rooting for you, and I'm excited
Thanks.
to be a part of the initial piece, and love to hear the story, no matter which way it goes. Because it's inspiring, and I mean, people think that everything's been done, and it hasn't. So,
Yeah.
keep looking, keep learning, and keep branching out, and that's really how you find these tiny little pieces that have been missed. So, and solve the problem.
Yeah. Well,
All
thank
right,
you
Troy.
for offering this. This has been really fun. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it, and hopefully we'll be able to do it again.
Yeah, we will.
Thanks, Troy. Have a good one.
Yeah, you too. See ya.
Bye.
All right, bye.